Hi. Now again we are going to talk the great rivalry between Turkey and Greece in Aegean Sea and also Mediterranean Sea. This very long historical rivalry between two countries, a dominant country of the regions. I'm going to say it again. This, I will say, conflict is not easy to solve, and it will take a lot of time to resolve this. Is it possible? In my idea, it's possible, but I don't want to go there for now. Well, I just want to go from the perspective of Turkey, why the Libya agreement might sound like a new chapter or session in this very long and old rivalry, and why it is still the questions and the problems are same. Let's talk about this, and also we are going to talk about what is the possible scenarios in the region. So let's start. Now Turkey and Greece, they have been a long rivalry between two of them. Now Greece has been claiming that due to the islands and the maritime laws accepted by the United Nations, the Greek maritime borders should be right before the nose of the Turkish maritime border, which gives in the Aegean shelf almost nothing more than a swimming pool size areas, and also in the Mediterranean Sea almost the same case. That's why Turkey is very much, I will say, disappointed about this approach. Everybody in the Europe or in anywhere might consider Turkey as a land country, but we are not a land country. We are not landlocked country. 70% to 65% of the borders are offshore. They are only covered with the sea. Turkey is not a landlocked country. Only 35% top has a land border. The other 65% to 70% is with sea. And Turkey is a maritime country. It's not a landlocked country. That's why our trade 87 to 85 to some, but not less than 80% of our trade is conducted via maritime. Meaning that if you are going to, or if Turkey is going to be restrained by the laws that are not in favor of Turkey, not only the commercial security, but also the national security will be threatened. And under these conditions, please do not accept Turkey to endorse or verify such legislations or regulations, because it's a direct threat to the independence of the country. It's straightforward. And I am sure, and I do believe that Greece and other countries which Turkey might have some problems, they know this. Maybe not the people, but I am sure the government. But this is not easy to be solved, I have to also admit. Now coming to the Libya agreement, why it is I am saying that it might sound like a new beginning, but still it's the old rivalry, because nothing changed basically. Still we have a rivalry between Greece and Cyprus, and now the Egypt and also Israel is added into that equation. Turkey says in the East Mediterranean Sea, without Turkey's interest being granted, Turkey is not going to allow any kind of major projects unless they are within the official maritime borders that Turkey also agrees with. And all the problems occurs especially due to the economic exclusive zones. Now, considering that Turkey had made an agreement with the Libyan Accord national government, which grants, or which Turkey and Libya official government have agreed that they will recognize each other's EEZ, economic exclusive zones, which gives Turkey a great leverage also to deploy military personnel to Libya. Why? Despite the fact that UN, United Nations, have put or sanctions, especially military equipment sanctions on Libya to both sides, to Haftar military organizations and to Libyan government, Egypt, with the help of the Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, have been continuously supporting Haftar's military with military equipments such as weapons, missiles, unmanned vehicles, money, resources, and all these things. And this is a great concern to Turkey, of course. That's why Turkey has been forced to deploy the military personnel in Tripoli, so that Turkey will ascertain their interests still being unimpacted. Now, with the deployment of soldiers, although there is not a ceasefire between the Haftar group and the National Accord government, we do not believe that it will be a long-standing ceasefire. Somehow it will be broken. So that's really not important and the topic that we want to also discuss. But the important thing is that the existence of the Turkish military personnel in Tripoli will ascertain that the national government will not fall, that the Turkish national interest will be still existing in Mediterranean Sea. That's very important for Turkey. Now, what Greece, Israel, and Egypt wants, including Cyprus, they want from Israel and Egypt the reserves with a pipeline to be sent from Crete or through the Mediterranean to Greece, where on board it on land it will also be sent to depth of Europe. Now I have to say something. On the sea level, this is not going to float. It has to go down between maybe 60 meters to 200 meters. So imagine a line around 3,000 kilometers in the depth of 150 to 200 meters. The diameter of the pipeline, it's a technical thing, but the diameter of the pipeline will be always reduced as the depth goes more. So if the depth increases from 100 to 250 meters, the diameter of the pipeline will be reduced. This is technical, but this is going to be like that. Which means that if it is a much more narrow pipeline, the product you can put via this pipeline will be reduced. So the question is how much it will be feasible or not to make such pipeline, considering all the risk and the opportunities, is a major question for this pipeline. That's why there is a second opportunity for those across or against Turkey is either by LNG from Egypt and Israel to Europe, but this is also a little bit how can I say problematic, because at first Egypt has to do a big LNG facilities. The existing were not good enough, or capacity is very low. Second, still the problem is to use the possible reserves in the EEZ areas. So another more likely scenario is because from Libya to Italy there is always a route. So they have to put a pipeline from, let's say, Egypt to Libya, but now Turkey is there, and there is also internal conflict which causes a great lives over there. So that's not also possible at this moment. So still the best way and the more logical way is to have an agreement with Turkey in that regard. But at this moment it is not going to happen. So we are going to now discuss about whether this conflict might arise a military conflict. We have to look at the size of the armies. The Greek land army is half of Turkey, but which is not important at this moment. We would like to more focus on the navy. The number of the frigates and the corvettes are almost the same, with the same types, 1990s models. Even there are some 70 models over there. But Turkey has been updating and also investing in the military industry, which Turkey wants to, I will say, construct new frigates, including corvettes, before the 2023, including this new LHD, the Santa Carlos type aircraft, or land helicopter deck, which might also allocate the F-35B types, which can land or fly vertical by using the deck. But still, there are some problems about that, but I will talk about it later on. Then Turkey wants to manufacture 24 of them, if possible, by end of 2023, including the 6 new submarines, which there will be 6 or 5 will be decommissioning and they will be replacing it. So size of the Turkish submarine is 13, but it will remain as 13. But it will be much more modernized. That's the thing that we are now emphasizing, because when we are looking the Greek navy, because of the financial problems, they are not modernized as the Turks. Now coming to Egypt, where Greece have using the intellectual approach, they have gained or made coalition via the non-allies of Turkey, and Egypt was a great win for Greece at that moment, because the Egypt navy is really not bad, it's good. In terms of quantities, they are even higher than the Turkish navy, and quality, if not better, same as Turkish. So in that regard, it is, I will say, 1-to-1. But the problem with also the Egypt navy, likewise the Greek navy, it is almost the same problem. Because of the financial economic crisis, they are also not upgraded, not modified moderately. Meaning that if we go to 10 to 20 years time, those navies will be even much more behind the modern technology, and Turkey is every year improving more. If say Turkey has been spending $1.2 billion in 2018 for the industry development, the defense development, whereas the budget is around 19 to 20 billion. And Turkey has been increasing from 2018 to 2019 by 24%. This is a great achievement for the Turks. However, more importantly, because now Turkey can also manufacture its own national needs to some level, not to fully, of course, to entertain with, there is also earning through that. And the conflict in Syria, also the conflict in Libya, also gives the Turkish military industry to realize the mistakes or the errors or the lackness of those national equipments, so the improvements and the developments can be done quickly. So for the future, looking at from today, we do not believe that the frigates or the corvettes, which all nations have, might engage with a military conflict. The distance are too long, the logistic is going to be a real problem. The planes will fly maybe once to that area, engage in 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then they have to go back for refueling. So considering all these things, really, we do not believe that there might be a real military conflict between these nations. However, Turkey suggests and says that they want to be a regional power, and in order to retain or to at least sustain its claim and get what it wants, Turkey has to develop such abilities that those military abilities can give Turkey a right to protect its own national interests. So in order to do that, Turkey has to develop the nuclear capacity. Why? Because the submarines and nuclear submarine will do the work in Mediterranean Sea in the long range. Secondly, Turkey has to do an aircraft navy, I would say aircraft carrier. Why? Because Anadolu and Trakya, which were the Santa Carlos type, the Spanish Santa Carlos type LHD, landing helicopter decks, are not going to, I would say, contain great number of aircrafts. So for Turkey to engage a military conflict with those nations is not going to be a very intellectual or clever thing. So in order to sustain its interest, Turkey has to manufacture an air carrier that will have 50 number of planes, which then these planes with the navy can sustain Turkish interest in the region. And moreover, also Turkey has to conduct or manufacture its own aerial defense system. Without it, all the interests will not be protected. So if we are going to see, or when we are going to see that Turkey has these capabilities, which requires at least one, maybe 2 decades, at least 1 decade, I will say, then Turkey might be able to really protect all these things and gets what it wants. But for today, this is not really possible. Therefore, our projection is that there is a low risk of military conflict, although there might be, but it will not continue for a long time. But Turkey has one thing at this moment seems as an advantage. Despite the very bad economic indicators in Turkey, Turkey has been pushing to invest in the military investment, which in the long run is going to give Turkey a right to protect its national interests. Those navies, at least the 24 of the maybe the aircraft carriers, small type, let's say, some number of frigates and corvettes, is going to let Turkey to protect its supply chain or lines in the Western Mediterranean, which is very, very, very important. So if we are going to see, as we said previously, that Turkey is going to have the capability of the nuclear energy, including the aerial defense system, and a new, like Americans have, a aircraft carrier, which we do not think at this moment Turkey is planning even, then we might say that Turkey can get whatever it wants. Before that, this is not possible. But considering all these developments, at least 10 to 15 years, we are thinking and believing that Turkey is making more progress than the others, which gives Turkey an encouragement to continue, so while the others are only considering on the economic development. So if you like this video, please press on the like button under the screen, and also if you subscribe to our channel, we would like to also share with you the first videos once we do it. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Bye.